I would say just that the players obviously are taking this really seriously.
The drama surrounding the WNBA this season isn't the kind the league had hoped for. Instead of buzzer beaters, breakout stars, and playoff glory, the story has been one of collapse, of ratings, of ticket sales, of fan patience, and most importantly, of credibility. At the center of it all is one name, one figure whose absence has turned the league upside down: Caitlin Clark. When Clark went down with injury, many expected a dip in numbers, but few could have predicted the scale of the freefall. Television viewership plummeted more than 50% overnight, and in Indiana, the Fever's own ratings sank by over 53%. It was a collapse so sharp it looked less like a stumble and more like a cliff dive. The league has long wanted this season to be the breakthrough moment, the year it finally took its place in the mainstream sports conversation. But instead of arriving with power, the WNBA face-planted on the big stage, leaving fans wondering whether leadership has any plan beyond hoping Clark can save them.
Offense that we run with Steph, I think just having the ball in her hands and really orchestrating that, especially if I'm getting...
The harsh truth was revealed almost instantly. Without Caitlin Clark, the league is struggling to hold attention. It's as if someone unplugged the Wi-Fi in the middle of a binge watch, leaving viewers staring at the spinning wheel of buffering frustration. The WNBA thought it could build its season on the back of star power, and to some extent, it did. Early in the year, Clark's games regularly topped the million-viewer mark, outdrawing everything else on the schedule. But the moment she went down, the illusion shattered. Ratings collapsed, attendance dipped, and suddenly the so-called growth narrative evaporated like mist in the sun. The league that had been hyping momentum was now desperately trying to spin disaster. Fans, meanwhile, weren't buying the excuses. Instead, frustration bubbled up on social media, and the tone of the conversation changed.
In league history, I think we had close to 40 players in our league meeting. I think it just sends a really strong...
People weren't talking about the games anymore. They were talking about the officiating, the lack of player protection, and the obvious fact that the commissioner and league leadership had done little to shield their biggest star from constant cheap shots. Opponents had treated Clark like a crash test dummy all season, battering her on drives, dragging her to the floor, and daring officials to blow the whistle. Too often they didn't. And now, the league was paying the price. It wasn't just Clark. Injuries across the WNBA piled up like wrecked cars on the interstate. Sophie Cunningham sidelined. Angel Reese walking away mid-season, choosing to quit outright rather than endure what had become a chaotic, sometimes unsafe environment. For some players, that decision was more than understandable. Why risk your career when referees treat the games like auditions for a circus act and the league office turns a blind eye to player health?
Even when we were picking our teams, I think they probably would have liked if we were talking trash a little bit more, but yeah.
In a sport where stars are everything, the sight of so many of them limping, quitting, or fading out was devastating. Even casual fans could see it. The league's house of cards wasn't just wobbling, it was collapsing. Attendance began to nosedive. Arenas once buzzing with Clark-fueled energy emptied out, leaving echoing seats and embarrassed vendors hawking hot dogs to no one. The marketing. Campaigns tried to insist the action was still exciting, but the replies beneath their social media posts told the truth. Fans joked with tumbleweed memes, mocking the emptiness, the silence, the lack of momentum. And yet, the league's leadership tried to insist nothing was wrong. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert appeared in interviews praising growth, speaking about progress, even as the numbers told a story of decline.
It's great. That is what we've been fighting for so long, is the league growing. So having new brands come in...
It was like watching the captain of the Titanic stand on deck praising the ship's design while ice water flooded the cabins. Fans weren't fooled. They saw the empty seats, the collapsed ratings, the fractured fan trust. They saw officials missing calls so egregious it made high school refereeing look professional. And above all, they saw a league completely unprepared to handle life without its brightest star. Because that's the core of this entire collapse. The WNBA tied its momentum to one player, and when that player went down, everything unraveled. Clark's injury didn't just take her off the floor, it ripped the curtain back on a league dependent on her name to drive attention. Without her, highlights vanished from SportsCenter. National conversation dried up. The casual fans she had, drawn in, the ones who had finally given the league a chance, moved on. The WNBA wanted this to be its breakthrough season.
This is very important for our future, the future of the league, for the futures of our careers, but
instead, it proved how fragile its foundation really is. The officiating crisis has only made things worse. Every fan watching knows the truth. Consistency is non-existent. One night, a blatant shove gets ignored. The next night, a minor bump earns an ejection. Some games look more like professional wrestling than professional basketball, with players slammed to the floor and referees swallowing their whistles. It's chaos, and in chaos, stars get hurt. In the NBA, quarterbacks are protected like priceless artwork. Even breathing on Patrick Mahomes too hard earns a penalty. But in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark can be body-checked into the scorer's table, and officials calmly wave play on. That failure to protect the league's most marketable player isn't just bad officiating, it's catastrophic business. And business is what's truly at stake here. The league thought Clark's arrival would guarantee full arenas and booming TV deals, and for a while it looked like that might happen. But now? Ticket sales resemble a clearance rack, slashed and desperate. Ratings fall week after week. Even the All-Star Game, long a showcase event, saw its viewership drop by 40% from the previous year. That number is staggering, and it tells the story better than anything else. Fans aren't sticking around. Without Clark, many don't see a reason to. Some defenders of the league insist this is just a rough patch, that injuries happen in every sport. And it's true, injuries are part of the game. But what fans see here is different. They see negligence. They see a commissioner who has failed to enforce player safety, who shrugs off obvious issues, who treats star protection as optional. They see a league more interested in pretending things are fine than in fixing what's broken.
On certain areas that we feel really strongly that we need to improve on, and I think we got that message across.
And when leadership fails that badly, it's not bad luck, it's bad management. What makes it all worse is the wasted opportunity. Clark's arrival had pulled in fans who'd never cared about the WNBA before. She brought national broadcasts, packed arenas, and headlines across the sports world. For the first time in years, casual sports fans were invested. And just as quickly, that investment evaporated, squandered by a league incapable of protecting what mattered most. It wasn't just Clark's injury that pushed them away. It was the realization that this league didn't know how to take care of its stars, didn't know how to manage momentum, didn't know how to capitalize on the chance it had been given. Fans are angry, and they have every right to be. On social media, you see the same pleas again and again. Protect Clark. Protect the players. Fix the officiating. Fix the leadership. But instead, the WNBA has offered silence or worse, spin. And the longer that continues, the harder it will be to win those fans back. Already, many have tuned out entirely. For some, the season has been little more than a blooper reel, a comedy of errors where leadership is the punchline. The sad irony is that it doesn't have to be this way. Women's basketball can thrive. The appetite is there. Clark proved it. Other stars have the talent, the charisma, the ability to capture attention. But no sport can succeed when leadership treats players like disposable props. No league can grow when officiating makes games unwatchable. And no fan base will stick around when the stars they care about are constantly sidelined.